Hello, and welcome. Welcome. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning to run some big boards. I am going to hop into a big board now, and let's see. And it is waiting for one. Waiting for one. All right. So if you want to join, come hang because now is your chance because we are probably going to fire pretty soon. This is big board number 102, I believe, or 103. So getting near the end of it, but pretty excited with how some of the exposures have worked out. Pretty happy with some of the players we got who seem to have done pretty well at the combine. So we are off and we have the 11 hole. I haven't picked from 11 too much. I feel like I get either early in the draft or I get the turn or like pick 9. Pick 11 is one where it seems almost like the decision gets made for you. The drafts very frequently the first excuse me, I don't know what's going on here. Frequently the first 11 picks are somewhat preordained. The line down to BTJ seems pretty set, and that's reflected if you look at the ADPs, right? You have 10.6 for the 11th pick, and then it jumps to 13.5, which really suggests that people aren't doing anything too crazy in the first 11 picks, and then it's a little bit of a free-for-all after that. I guess A-Chain is ahead of Gene T, but I'm currently have the Matic ranks in there, which I like quite a bit. And I agree that Gene T should be above A-Chain. A-Chain really was just not capable of running that bell cow role when he was asked to do it. I think he's going to go back to being a highly efficient player. I hope he goes back down to something like between 12 and 16 touches a game versus 20 plus, because he just really couldn't handle that. I probably should take some more A-Chain. I might be dinging him more than I ought to be, but I think Gene T should probably be going where Bijan went last year. CMC, if you think he's healthy, you should take him every time there because he was the 101 last year. He was the 101 the year before, and you're getting him in the second round, which seems a little crazy. And then Derrick Henry, who just shoves it down our throat every single year. I think I prefer all three of those to A-Chain, where he put on some weight, which I think he was asked to do. I'm not suggesting this was a Debo situation, but he really just struggled to fulfill the role he was asked to. So all that said, I don't have any A-Chain, I don't think, or if I do, it's very little, and I don't think I'll be adding any of that today. We see Jefferson go third, which I think is perfectly fine. Again, unlikely to see anything out of the ordinary. The one thing you occasionally see is people will pull Gene T into the first round. He is such a fun click. We're doing these big boards in March because we're excited about rookies. So it does make sense that we would kind of load up on them. And if we're going to load up on a rookie, it's certainly going to be the one who is the consensus kind of a first running back off the board. So Gibbs goes at 7. That's a little bit of a fall for Gibbs. There was a short window when you could get Nacua around 9 or 10 when people thought Stafford might leave. Now that he's back, we're seeing Nacua seldom fall past pick 7 there. So A-Chain, interestingly enough, goes at 9. So that's a little early for A-Chain to go. I feel like I don't see him pulled up into the first round too often doing these. We are up next. I don't think I recognized any names in this draft, but so Neighbors goes at 10. Neighbors is pretty much my favorite click in the late first round. I'll just take a share of Amon-Ra here. And again, very likely to open with two receivers here unless I get Gene T. You used to be able to reliably get good running backs at 59 and 62. The steam is real when it comes to Hampton and um, Hampton and Henderson. Hampton's all the way in the early 50s now, so it is a little less assured that you'll necessarily get the running back you want. That said, we've seen Mixon falling a little bit. We've seen Chuba falling a little bit. And I think part of that is because people are more comfortable taking a rookie running back in that range, and that sort of, if you're taking a running back there and you take one of the rookies, then the people who are more wide receiver thirsty, are still drafting, and we see some of the veteran running backs falling. I'll take BTJ here. It's pretty tough to get Amon-Ra and Brian Thomas. I don't think I've actually gotten this start before, so I'm perfectly happy to do it. That's not to say that Jay Dassey did anything wrong. I often find the turn is a good place to try to get different combinations. You don't see a lot of McCaffrey Brown teams, but CMC, if he's healthy and has his role, is going way too low. And we saw AJ Brown be an absolute beast before. It sounds like he's really focused on stats this year, and we were taking him in the first round last year. So I have no problem with what they did, but I am happy getting Amon-Ra and BTJ as my start. Don't see anything too out of the ordinary after that. Drake London, Derrick Henry, and Gene T go. Bowers at 18, which probably is where Bowers should be going. He was going earlier when the big board opened. He was closer to 14. Has slipped a little bit, but I think he makes more sense around here because you're giving up a little less opportunity cost. I think there's a pretty big gap after Drake London goes. The next best receiver are guys we have a little more questions on. Tyreek Hill with his health. T. Higgins is a number 2. Garrett Wilson with sketchy quarterback play. So I think this is right. I think this is more right. And I find myself getting more Bowers than I was early in the year. Ladd at 19, Jonathan Taylor at 20. All picks which make sense. Still 14 picks away. So I will be picking at 35 and 38, just sort of planning ahead. Typically there, I'm still taking wide receivers, unless I'm going to try to get one of the elite quarterbacks. It's it's a little early to be taking Hurts, even though I think Hurts, there's an argument that he should be the number 2 quarterback taken. I really think that, my true ranking of quarterbacks would be Lamar, Hurts, and then probably even Daniels before Allen. I think Allen is deeply overdrafted. And one of the things I like about the Matic rankings is he's also, seems to be in agreement there. The Bills don't want to make Josh Allen run unless they have to. And so you're really paying for a ceiling that might not be there and won't be there if the Bills get their way. Now, I see a world where the AFC East is more competitive. The Patriots have to be better. The Dolphins imploded. And the Jets, if they get better quarterback play, we might not see the Bills kind of sleepwalk their way. Okay, sleepwalk's the wrong word. They were really good. But we might see them have to put a little more effort in. We might see Allen running more than necessarily the Bills want to do. But again, I think Allen running is no longer plan A. I think that's sort of plan C, and versus Lamar, who's more of a natural runner, versus Daniels, who's the same thing, and Hurts, who's the goal line back. So that is how I would kind of have them ranked. Fun draft start. Zachary, yeah, I haven't gotten this start yet. I'm pretty excited about it. It's the first 11 picks are often very kind of scripted, and usually Brian Thomas is among them. But fortunately, I got someone who on the turn got a little different. So happy to see that. And someone pulled A-Chain into round 1, which is, again, a little unusual. So coming up by ranks, 4 picks away. I would have loved JSN, but I would be too much to hope for. My preference would be to take Worthy. I'm starting to buy some of the concern around Chase Brown. Um, I do really worry they're going to add somebody, undoubtedly. But the question is who? I don't know that one would think the market is pricing in them adding someone to Chase Brown, but I feel like they're going to add somebody and Chase Brown's going to drop 10 to 15 spots in BBM unless it's like somebody really late in the draft. But if the Bengals take someone in the first 3 rounds, a running back, I think we're going to see a pretty significant drop from um, from uh, from Brown. So I am up. Let's see, by ADP again. It's a lot of these quarterbacks. I think I'm going to take Devonta Smith here, and yeah, I'll take Devonta Smith. I think he's the best wide receiver here. I'm more than happy to have him as my third receiver in this room. I could have taken a James Cook. I think my issue is the receivers at 59 and 62 are kind of a weird range unless you get like a falling Waddle. I'm really not in on Judy. I'm really out on Pickens. And now I'm reaching for like a Godwin or a Debo. So I think I'd rather be taking wide receivers, running backs there. This feels a little early to build a Jalen Hurts stack. I'm going to take JMO and really just go all in on the Lions. I don't do this very often. I think it might be a little aggressive taking Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams, but I also don't think I've really done this yet. And when I'm building out a portfolio of teams, I want to do some things a little differently. Why are you out on Pickens? So I am in the camp, and I haven't really heard this too much, but I am worried that we're going to see a holdout or hold-in situation from him. I think he's only slated to make about $4 million this year. You know, the Steelers have not been afraid to bench him for conduct. You know, he really feeds into every stereotype of the diva wide receiver with the like bad attitude who ends up like in the coach's doghouse. I really do worry about that for him. I think the Steelers are a candidate to add another receiver. Brandon Ayuk tweeted something with like hashtag Steelers. Like it sounds like he wants to go there. So I do have some concerns with Pickens staying the number one. And also I think there's a pretty good chance Justin Fields is their quarterback. And Fields really struggles to support two kind of alpha wide receivers. He was great with DJ Moore, but the secondary options really didn't get there. So I feel like we're buying a little high on someone where I think there's a number of risks on. He separates now, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm not denying the talent. It is not a talent-based fade. It's a situation, and I think there's more holdout risk than we've been giving credit. I think he wants to get paid, and I don't know. I mean, I think the Steelers cap situation is such that they can extend him. They can restructure the contract and make him happy. I just don't know if they're going to want to do that. So I don't think it's like a bad pick by any means. I don't think people who are taking him are doing anything wrong, but it's just, you know, I'm trying to not have crazy high exposures on anyone, but I'm also trying to not be like an 8% bro. So so there are a few guys where I'm taking stands, and he's one that I'm really only taking if he falls pretty far. So now that I've opened with 4 quarterbacks, I am definitely going to need to hope I get some other positions coming back to me. Let's see. Planning ahead, I think this team really needs Jared Goff on it, and I'm picking at 83 and 86. Goff goes at 94, so I am likely to take him I'm not going to push it all the way to 107. He'll rarely fall that far, but I think when you go Amon-Ra, JMO, you're basically, putting on your Lions apparel. You're now a Lions fan, and I do want to make sure I get my quarterback with this team. It's not the end of the world if I don't. I mean, there's a world where in week 17, Goff is not the highest scoring QB, but Amon-Ra and JMO have good games. So we'll remain flexible. But I am likely to, with one of those picks, take Mr. Jared Goff. George Kittle goes 51. I've really been trying to get more and more of him. He doesn't seem like he's risen as much as I thought he would with the departure of Debo. He might start rising now that Ayuk is chirping that he wants to get out of there. And Kittle is just so consistently good. I mean, his yearly performance. I can't bring it up this way, but I mean, he is like 1,000-yard receiver year in, year out, and really does everything you want from the tight end position. He gets injured, but I don't think any more than any of the other guys. Injuries can be kind of random. Mixon going at 55. Yeah, we were talking earlier, and that's a pretty big fall. I mean, his ADP was at 42 not long ago. It's all the way up to 47. So he's a guy who has been slipping quite a bit. So by ADP, the pick would be, I'm not taking Burrow on this team. I think if this guy does not take TreVeyon Henderson, I'm going to take Henderson. And then I'm pretty agnostic towards if I get Ken Walker or Kamara. I would prefer Walker myself, but I'm perfectly fine if I get Kamara. It is tempting to take Sam Laporta and just go absolutely nuts with the Lions. However, boy, that's almost too tempting to not do at this point and just build this Gigo Lions team. Let's see where I am picking after that. I'm picking at 107 and 110. So I think that makes me a little more inclined to take Laporta, because after Njoku at 107, I guess Travis Kelce, but there's a chance of getting frozen out at tight end on this team. Interesting question if I want to really just jam all the Lions. I don't know that I do. It's not because I am afraid of Ben Johnson, but you know what? I'm going to do it. We're going to live a little. We're just going to take Laporta and say, go Lions. And I will figure out running back later. This could be bad. I think the Best Ball Intelligentsia would say that taking 3 Lions with your first 6 pick might not be the optimal way to start a team, but it's going to be fun, and we will add Goff to this team and just really hope that their offense does not take a step back. Hope that they're the team you need throughout the playoffs. They had a elite schedule last season as far as dome games. I think they only played 4 games outdoors. They're going to play most of their games in a dome, being that, they play in a dome at home. The Vikings play in a dome. You really just are dodging at Chicago and at Green Bay in like week 17, because that's a really bad outcome. Goff is just not as good outdoors. I don't really want him outdoors in December and early January, but I'll take that risk. And it's not like they're gonna like freeze to death in the cold, but I am coming around to the importance of good weather games in the fantasy playoffs. It does seem like it makes a difference. 2 years ago, the game you needed was the Lions Cowboys week 17 game. That was the game that was the absolute smash. If you had Lamb and Amon-Ra, Like you needed them. You needed them, and they were a natural pairing on the turn that season. So I certainly could see a world where, the game you need in week 17 is again a Lions game. Now, all that is to say, you don't, even if that's what you think, you don't necessarily need to take, 3 Lions pass catchers in the first 60 picks. But I still believe in that offense. I think even, if Ben Johnson leaves, it's not like he's going to take every copy of the playbook with him and the team is going to be learning football from scratch. I think they're going to be okay. So I will continue to build out this team. I think I'm going to just add Goff to the queue. I don't think getting cute and trying to push him around the turn makes sense, even though Jay Dassey doesn't have any Lions and has Josh Allen. Sometimes people see you doing stuff and they just feel the need to ruin it. That said, though, if something like James Conner falls to me, I might have to take him and just hope that there are good people in this world. But I'm somewhat neutral if my running back 2 is Pollard, Warren, or Jones. If those are the options I have, that's perfectly fine, and I will live with that. If there's a huge run of running backs, I might have to reconsider, but assuming not, then I'll just take Goff first so I can sleep at night. So looking at the board, let's see if anything out of the ordinaries happened. Not really. Not seeing anything too crazy. Let's see. Where did Jennings go? Where did you want Jennings go? Or is he not gone yet? No, he's gone. He's got to be gone. So Ricky Pearsall went at 71. Ayuk at 70. I feel like I'm blind. Like, how am I missing? Oh, Juwan Jennings at 64. So he's risen quite a bit. Him, Ayuk, and Pearsall and Debo used to go frequently, like those 4 players within 5 or 6 picks. They're starting to separate a little. People seem to like the Debo landing spot. He gets pushed into the early 60s. Yeah, there he is at 66 in this draft. Seems like people are happy with where he ended up. And we are just dodging Immigrant in Graham Mint, 75, taking Goff from us for no reason. I will take Goff here. My preference, again, would be to get Tony Pollard next. But if I don't, that's fine. I also don't know why Jay Dassey would take a 4th running back before a 4th receiver, but you never know. People have their own plans and structures that they like. Let's see what he does. If I don't get Pollard, I will probably drop to Jaylen Warren. I do worry a little with Warren that he took Pollard because you got to take 4 wide receivers. 4 running backs before taking a 3rd receiver. Interesting stuff taking place here. There's also a world where this guy's auto drafting on ranks and he just has Pollard ahead. I don't know what the ETR ranks are. I wouldn't be surprised if Warren went now. Pacheco, dear God. Okay, we're going to take Jaylen Warren. Not my favorite running back room. Definitely in a little bit of a hole here, but that happens when someone takes 5 running backs with their first 8 picks. Dear God. All right. Well, going over the team so far, we've got Goff at QB, Travion Henderson at running back with Jaylen Warren, and then Amon-Ra, BTJ, Devonta Smith, J-Mo at receiver, and Laporta at tight end. This is too many Lions. This team might just be bad, folks. But we will see. Definitely lighter on running back than I like to be at this point. looking at where I'm picking next, 107 and 110, which in my recollection is not the worst place. It kind of depends. You can still get some fallers. Occasionally Dobbins and Najee will be there. It really all depends. I think normally that would be the case, but with Jay Dossey hoovering up all of these running backs, I think people are going to be grabbing them ahead of ADP. And that happens when you have someone in a room just doing some weird stuff, unfortunately. Doing some weird stuff. Jonnu goes at 72. We are 14 picks out from our pick. And I realized I never put the Ducks on. So I'm going to put them on. Feeding the Ducks. All right. Now we can truly say the stream has begun. All right, so Bengal Buck takes Andrews at 93. I disagree with taking Jonnu over Andrews, even if Andrews is not necessarily going back to the Ravens, although I think he is. I think he is likely to return, but, there is an argument to be made about some cap savings that could be made by the Ravens if they are to cut him. But to me, he's a team captain. He's a guy they've liked. I think we're all being a little reactionary towards him dropping a 2-point conversion in the most high-pressure situation in anyone's life in freezing cold temperatures. I think teams are a little more mature than that. And I also feel like the Ravens, it's a little revisionist to say it cost them the game because the Bills would have had the ball with a little under 2 minutes, 2 timeouts, and needing a field goal to win. And I am somewhat skeptical that it was any kind of guarantee that the Bills don't just go down and score and end the game anyway. But again, it is March 5th, and we do need things to consider and talk about. And and Mark Andrews getting cut is something plausible enough that it gets discussed quite a bit. So unfortunately, I think Trailer Park Bob is autoing, which I don't know, because he took ETN well behind ADP. So not sure, but definitely ran the clock all the way on both, which is always a little annoying. Caleb goes at 99. Let's see. Caleb going to the Odunze drafter, who also already had Brock Purdy. I don't mind double tapping quarterbacks around pick 100. I think that's a perfectly defensible thing to do. This team's second quarterback likely to be Trevor Lawrence when he comes up with not this set of picks but the next, but we'll see if he's there. Again, these big boards can be pretty QB thirsty, so there is no guarantee guys will be there at ADP, especially when it comes to quarterback. Right now, we have our fingers crossed that we can get our running backs of choice here. I wish I could safely, take someone like a Tyler Warren and then a running back after, but I do not trust Jay Dossey to not take more running backs. I'd really like J.K. Dobbins. He is far and away my preference at this pick, and we'll see if we get him. Tyler Warren goes, good pick there. Nice ADP value. All right, so he takes Sharp. So we're going to take Dobbins, and then I just want to look at what my next pick is going to be while I have a second. I really don't like BTJ. I think in this instance, I would probably take Mims or Njoku. And again, I would love to take them first out of order, but the guy who takes 5 running backs is frequently the guy who then takes a sixth. So yeah, don't trust him to do the normal thing here. And of course, he is winding the clock deep, and he takes. I think he's autoing on ranks. So he takes Njoku, unfortunately, because I would have been happy taking Njoku. Hopefully he doesn't take Mims, but that's certainly a possibility. If he takes Mims, I would likely take Rashad Bateman and be fairly happy with that selection. Let's see. He takes Keon Coleman, so I'm going to take Marvin Mims here. And I'm pretty happy with that as a fifth receiver. I think he showed a lot of versatility last year. I think he's on an ascendant offense. The team was getting him more and more involved as the year went on. So don't mind him there. Colston Loveland at 111. Wow, that is very early. It is very early for one Colston Loveland to go. But if you believe the hype, he might go ahead of Warren in the draft. So potentially defensible, but feels early. Although, it's one of those things where if you are picking there at 111, there's a good chance he won't be there at 130. So if you want him with this mix of players, then you got to take him there. So I certainly don't think it's necessarily the worst pick, especially when you don't have a tight end at that point. I think it would have been a little bit of a reach for that to be a second tight end pick. So we are 17 picks away. Getting some drafts in before Davis goes live. And then I will be heading to the gym, which I'm always excited about because it's March. This is the time to be grinding at the gym so that when it's warmer, you feel a little better about yourself versus waiting for that. And then, so anyway, that's my very exciting plan for today. Travis Hunter goes at 116. Pete just put out a pretty good video, pretty convincing argument for Travis Hunter being a generationally underpriced player. Made me feel really bad about having virtually no Travis Hunter on my team so far. I am still in the camp that he's a cornerback, even after watching the video, but the video did make me think I need to be taking some Travis Hunter. And I also have so much regret that I wasn't taking him when this contest opened and he was like picked 180. I think the day it opened, I don't know if he even had an ADP. You had to like search his name. So he was going around 180 because enough people had figured out he wasn't going undrafted because someone would be like, where's Travis Hunter? But you could get him really late in drafts. And now he's steaming all the way into the 110s, 120s, which is a funny price because it's such a hedge price, right? Like if he's drafted as the wide receiver 1 and he's going to play wide receiver, he should be near where like Tet McMillan or Ibuka's going. But if he's going to be a corner and playing, just random packages, he should be going super late. So he's kind of like weird. He's either a great price or a terrible price. He's not going to be accurately priced right now. It's a little bit interesting. Interesting there. 7 picks away. And this is a weirdly not QB thirsty start. It'll be interesting to see if we can get T-Law if he comes to us, because I suspect people are going to start taking quarterbacks kind of fast and furious. Yep, and there they go. May goes, Dak goes. This guy over here, Immigrant 75, doesn't have any. He's likely to take one. So we'll see. we'll see if we can get our guy or not. This is a very slow-moving draft. We've got a lot of autoers, which frankly makes the whole thing a lot less enjoyable to do. I have a foster cat here who just jumped on my lap. We'll see if he stays quiet or if he tries to add anything to the discussion here. Who are we taking, buddy? Is it T-Law? He seems to think Trevor Lawrence would be the pick. Although it is tempting to take such a falling Cam Skattebo. Man, we'll see. I probably should just take Lawrence if he's there. I would have loved a Lawrence Kirk stack. It's unclear if Kirk is going to be back. If he is, then it would be nice to have the wide receiver 1 and 2 with Lawrence, but we'll see if we even get it. We will see. Wow, he takes Penix. So I think, as much as I'd like Skattebo, I think taking Lawrence here is the move. So we will do that. And then the question is, do we take Evan Ingram? I think we take Ingram if Skattebo goes here. So he takes Xavier Get there. I don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know if he's going to take Bryce Young now. I don't know if he's drafting off ranks. He's taking, I think this guy just has ranks in, is what's happening here. Let's see. He takes Evan Ingram, which is a little unfortunate. So I'm just going to take Skattebo. He is definitely a big loser from the combine. He did not run the 40. Now, I heard while watching the combine that he had some kind of injury, which is why he didn't want to run it. And now he's going to run at his pro day. It's hard to know what to believe. I haven't really seen anything on Twitter about that injury. What makes you so injured you can't run the 40, but you can participate in the jumping drills, which he was really outstanding at. I think he had a 40-inch vert, which is really, really strong. I think Skattebo, I almost believe the story of the running, that he did have some kind of injury and maybe thought that would limit his speed. You can't always trust the pro day times. They can be a little inflated, but that said, I think we will eventually get a time from him, and I think if it's anything around the 4.6 or better, we're going to see Skattebo go back to the 110s. Now that pro day isn't until late March, so I think there's still going to be a pocket where you can catch the falling Skattebo. But so we will go over the team here. We've got Goff and T-Law at quarterback, Travion Henderson, Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, and Cam Skattebo at running back, Amon-Ra, BTJ, Devonta Smith, J-Mo, and Marvin Mims at receiver, with Sam Laporta at tight end. So an interesting team, super Lions heavy. Did get our stack with BTJ. So, building out some different stuff here. I do not mind this team at all. I know it's very heavy with the Lions. Would really like to add another tight end here because of the potential world where if it's a Amon-Ra / J-Mo week, there might just not be enough to go around for Laporta. So I don't want to count on Laporta like I typically do with an elite tight end. I think I need to do 3 tight ends on this team, because I think for this team to win, it's going to have to be a little ping-pongy. So we will see what comes around. So there goes Tua. So the quarterbacks are starting to go. We'll likely add one late quarterback to this team to end up with a 3 quarterback build, but definitely could stop at 2. I guess we will see. We will be picking maybe if a quarterback's there at 203 and 206, we'll take it. I don't think there's a need to prioritize one before then, and if it doesn't happen, then that's fine. All right, Rico Dowdle goes. He's a guy that would have made a lot of sense on this team. Probably going to try to take 1 running back and 1 receiver, but really going to let the value kind of dictate who we take with these picks here. Dylan Sampson goes. He was a guy I was taking quite a bit of earlier in these drafts. Have backed off significantly. I think he was a little bit of a loser at the combine. They run that really wonky offense in Tennessee, so I'm pretty out on him, despite having built a bigger position than I should have. I have gotten no Tootin since the combine. I had about 20% before, and definitely happy with that. Definitely happy with those shares that I've got, but he is the steam has gotten out of control, and it is very difficult to get him reliably. I've seen him go in the 130s, which seems a little crazy. But, and there he goes, 151. So didn't have a chance this draft, but that's okay. There's certainly some good players that we will get a crack at. Unfortunately, tight end has really thinned out to where I am more likely to push tight end to the next pick and try to build out receiver and running back at this point. So Ray Davis is who I was going to take. I think at that point then my preference is going to be Tyler Algier. Huge contingent upside. If something happens to Bijan, then Algier is going to be a smash. And Algier does have a little bit of a role, even without a Bijan injury. So add Algier to this room and then take a receiver with the next pick. See who we can get. Excuse me. Pretty neutral as to which receiver we add. I really wish Jay Dossie was not autoing. It has grinded this draft to a halt here. Might take Tillman. I think Cedric Tillman would likely be my pick. If he goes, then I will take Dontavian Wicks. So he takes Pat Freiermuth. I'll take Tillman. I don't take a ton of Tillman. The concussion he had must have been really bad for him to go on IR for the end of the year. I haven't heard anything either way, but I think as a 6th receiver, there is a certain amount of upside. Gotta think the quarterback play is going to be improved from last year. Definitely the real life play will be better. We'll see if fantasy wise. Jalen Noel goes at 160. He was a big winner. I've heard it's actually Noel. Jalen Noel goes at 160. I really like this guy's wide receiver room. Higgins and Noel, big combine winners. Again, those were guys you could get in the 180s to 200s early in the cycle, but the price has gone up. But you should not, not take them because the price has gone up. That's just what the price is. And as we get new information and prices change, it's really not a good strategy to just fade the risers, because oftentimes the risers don't rise enough. So you're still getting value. You're just not getting as good a value as someone else got. And it's not like you're not getting players. You still get the same number of players as someone who took them. So you're just going to have different combinations. And again, we're really bad at predicting which combinations are better or worse. So no problem still taking those guys even after the rise. Giddens goes at 167, another big combine winner. Definitely seeing some of these guys now separate from the pack. RJ Harvey, Giddens, they've risen a lot. Big loser, Ollie Gordon. Unfortunately, I have a big fat bag of Ollie Gordon that I am stuck with and probably sell at 20 cents on the dollar if I could, but that's not how this game works. So I mean that is one of the risks of drafting early, right? Is you could end up with a big position in a guy who's a big faller. So again, when you look at the teams, when you look at a player that's a big riser, you say, oh, there's people got them at a huge discount. Well, those teams are often going to be paired with a guy who was a big faller later. So again, the whole the winning team's already been drafted thing, I think that's even less true in the big board than in BBM. BBM, the first day, you can really get values because the ADPs are really wonky, so you can legitimately build super teams. I think it's, I don't know how long best ball is going to last, but I would not be surprised if, one of the best balls in the next few years, the winning team is drafted on day one and is like a super team, not built through collusion or anything, but just built through, massive ADP value, which again kind of evaporates as the market gets more efficient. I think we saw a lot of the good BBM teams this year were built in May. But again, you're dodging a lot of landmines, right? You could end up with really bad bye weeks. You could end up with training camp injuries. You have a lot less information. So that's not to say that the early teams are guaranteed to have an edge. But if everything, injury luck and bye week luck breaks their way, it's undoubtable that they do have some edge because of market inefficiencies. And just blind luck. I mean, you draft a backup running back in round 16 and his starter gets hurt, and suddenly they're a third round pick. You kind of can backdoor your way into some really big values. Was it the year Kyron? I think was it Akers got hurt and Kyron became the starter, if I'm remembering right. Something to that effect. And you can end up with teams with really big value. Sorry, my cat is attacking my wire here. It is actually not my cat; it's a foster cat, but he doesn't know that, and he thinks this is his domain, and he's right for the most part. I mean, he kind of runs the show here, but I cannot have him eating my microphone cord. All right, so we are coming up. Let's look at the tight end options here. I think Hunter Henry is such an uninspired pick, but he might be the right pick here. Let's see, only need one more running back really on this team. Guerendo would be fine, I think. He might still be the third stringer there because I think Mason is likely to come back. Oh, man. I know I said... You know what? I'm taking Jackson Dart. I'm taking Jackson Dart because I think there's a good chance he is the starting quarterback for the Jets. This is such a QB-thirsty room. I mean, look at this. Derek Carr, this Jay Dossie guy who's been ruining my life is only going to get, at most 2 quarterbacks. And if he's autoing and misses the bus, he's going to be frozen out here. So maybe that was a little bit of a FOMO-y kind of selection, but I really did kind of want to make this a 3 QB team. So of course we get punished by him then taking the guy I was interested in, but that is okay. Let's see if we can still get Guerendo. If not, then maybe this is a Braylon Allen team, and Jackson Dart is doing dump-offs to Braylon Allen in Week 17, and that's the story we tell ourselves. So he takes Wandale. I'll take Guerendo here. I think this is fine, and this team now will just round it out with some wide receivers and tight ends. So this has been a tough draft. This has not been the most fun draft, and I think part of it is all the auto drafters have just sucked the life out of the room. People taking weird structures. Guy taking 5 running backs right after me, like mad early. What does this Zabs guy do? He looks like he went 0 RB. So this guy, at the very least looks like he knows what he's doing. But then, again, this Jay Dossie guy built this clunker of a team. Running back, a wide receiver room of A.J. Brown, Jerry Jeudy, and then Keon Coleman, Leggett, Amari Cooper, Wandale. Like, this team isn't going to win. This team's bad. But somehow QB just after not going early, everybody got massively QB thirsty, and they're all gone. Like Mike Dill just took Derek Carr. So all the pretty locked in starters, not necessarily we don't know if Dart is going to be a starter or not, but I consider him more likely than not to be starting by the end of the year, and they're all gone at pick 186. That is really early. So it's so room dependent, and this case it ended up being very QB thirsty, at least at the end. Keep the chief GM, my friend. This draft has been a slog. It is 55 minutes in, and we are only in round 16. It is filled with auto drafters. I was really hoping I could get 2 drafts in before Davis went live, but that is not going to happen. So I will likely call it after this one, but have built out a weird team, much more Lions heavy than I ever go. I got Goff, T-Law, and Jackson Dart at QB, Travion Henderson, Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Scatabo, Tyler Algier, and Guerendo at running back. And then a wide receiver room of Amon-Ra, BTJ, Devonta Smith, J-Mo, Marvin Mims, and Tillman, with Sam Laporta currently anchoring the tight end spot. Had planned to take another tight end early with the theory that I'm almost going to need some kind of like ping-ponging from the Lions for this to work. It seems it's unlikely. It's championship week, and Goff, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and Laporta are all smashing. That's going to be really thin outcome. Not impossible, but really thin. And so I do want to build out the tight end room a little bit. Do want to build out the tight end room a little more, but we will see who we get. This is likely to be a Brenton Strange team to pair with T-Law. He has been rising up draft boards, unfortunately, which means I might take him earlier than I want. Jack Vetch goes, who I really like. So again, this room has been a difficult draft today. So I can't tell if I really like this team or this is one of my least favorite teams. Definitely a running back room I don't like. I wish Jaylen Warren was Tony Pollard, but he went right ahead. A lot of dependency on TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this room, and if he's not a day one starter, this team is probably in a heap of trouble, which is not really like how I tend to like to build. I almost feel like I kind of went zero. I did go zero RB. I do like Dobbins, but again, I prefer Najee to Dobbins quite a bit, and they go in the same range, but Najee went. Maybe it's good because I'm building a team a little different than some of the ones I have. But I do have a pretty strong feeling that Najee is a better pick than Dobbins and is more likely to have a better role than Dobbins. But is it guaranteed? No, absolutely not. So, man, again, this has been a tough room. I think I will agree with the rankings that Gabe Davis would be the pick here. It makes sense with T-Law. I don't take a lot of Gabe Davis. But, in a world where he's somehow, again, the wide receiver 2 in Jacksonville, I think he makes sense. He's a big spike week guy. So he is, I think better in best ball was a little bit of a meme. And it was something that was popular to say like 3 or 4 years ago. We're going to bring it back. We're bringing it back with Gabe Davis because Gabe Davis is unironically better in best ball. He will go weeks and weeks with doing nothing and then can spike. Got hurt last year, so I don't mind taking him too much in the 17th round. And we will see what we get at tight end. I might just take my guy Brenton Strange here because I'm picking so close to the turn. I'm pretty agnostic towards this whole clump of tight ends, and I think I'd be more upset if I don't get Strange than if I don't get like Keyshawn Boutte or Savion Williams or whomever. So, assuming Jay Dassey doesn't take a 5th tight end, which I don't know what that guy's been doing this whole draft, I'll just take Strange here. I drafted the majority of my LBs this way, really relying on the top 5 rookie RBs to anchor my RBs 1, 2, or 3 might swing in this, but it feels like the most obvious way to hit the nuts. I agree with that. I agree with that quite a bit. I think you're more likely to hit the like 0 RB / anchor RB smash with like a Henderson or a Judkins or a I'm blanking on the other guy that goes in that range of 60. Not Caleb. I would have said Caleb Johnson, but not him anymore. Versus like Kamara or Ken Walker being that guy. And maybe that's just wanting the shiny new thing, but I do feel that way. Now I gotta look at who am I missing here? Omarion Hampton. There we go. Omarion Hampton was the name I'm missing. And he went all the way up in 44. He had a great combine. And so, but yeah, we're swinging for massive upside in this. And I think for 0 RBs, I do like doing that. That's not to say I wouldn't build around an anchor RB with like a Ken Walker. His biggest obstacle has just been health. I thought when he got hurt and came back, we were going to see more even split with Charbonnet, but they kind of just went back to giving Walker that bell cow role. And yeah, I don't mind him as a pick, but it is certainly feels like more upside with one of the rookie running backs. And for this draft's sake, hopefully that is TreVeyon Henderson. Or Cam Scatabo, to be frank, because I have I am keeping the light on for Cam Scatterbo despite his disappointing combine. All right, we are 12 picks away. It feels like an absolute eternity because of these auto drafters. Dear God. No rookie wide receivers on this team, which always feels less fun than taking the upside swing. But I think we kind of got a youngish, fun room here. No one's too dusty other than Gabe Davis, but we've now potentially triple stacked T-Law here. So we have a Goff triple stack, a T-Law triple stack, and Jackson Dart. Nothing for Jackson Dart. He can run, and that is one of the hopeful features of Dart. He's going to be a little Bo Nixie and be able to run and scramble and create for himself. And I am of the view there is a world where he goes ahead of Sanders and surprises a lot of people, which would be great because I think Dart was not drafted in every single draft early on in this process. It's gotten a little more steam, but and there's also a world where he's like Michael Penix and gets drafted to a team with a quarterback, and we're lucky if we see him at all. In which case, that would be really bad. It'll be really bad for my bags. But I am hopeful he he's starting at some point by the end of the season. Mason Taylor goes. That probably would have been my tight end of choice in this room. We are still 6 picks away. Brenton Strange is obviously a risky pick because if Ingram comes back, then I just drafted the backup tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which feels bad. I'm not gonna lie, seems like a bad pick. Man, it's just been a weird room. Jay Dossey taking 4 tight ends, not helping matters. This guy really kind of sent this draft in a weird direction. The way he drafted, the way he took 5 early running backs and then took 5, should be 4 pretty decent tight ends. Really kind of mucked with the structure of how the drafts normally run out. But yeah, write your congressman, call your local representative. Let's get people auto drafting forced to push the plan here after 2 missed picks, because this is now well over an hour, and it's just absolutely brutal to do these drafts when they take this long, and even more brutal when every tight end you're interested in gets taken. Dear God. Rocket Sanders goes at 224. I like him quite a bit. Have come around to him, and I think he had a pretty decent combine. Let's see. Stanko takes LaQuint Allen, so Ty Johnson goes. I'm going to take Michael Mayer and just really hope that he gets traded somewhere. So I basically have the same bet, Brenton Strange and Michael Mayer, but it's the inverse. Strange, you're hoping Ingram doesn't come back. Mayer, hoping he gets shipped off somewhere, gets a job. But I do worry Taysom Hill may not be back right away. Ben Sinat's a fullback. Noah Gray's a backup. And gosh, it's ugly. It is so ugly with tight end. When you wait this long and somehow all the tight ends you're interested in get taken. So Jay Dossey adds another quarterback who might not play to his team. Jay Dossey, my new best ball enemy. Which is unfortunate. I hate to have enemies in best ball, but Jay Dossey really kind of made this draft utter misery. He could finish by taking booty from me. He doesn't. He takes a 4th quarterback. Dear God. Okay. So I think I'm going to just take Keyshawn Boutte and call it there. This was a slog. I appreciate it. If you made it through this stream, thank you. This was a tough one. We have Jared Goff, T-Law, and Dart at quarterback, Travion Henderson, Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Scatabo, Tyler Algier, and Isaac Correndo at running back. A adult wide receiver room of Amon-Ra, BTJ, Devonta, J-Mo, Marvin Mims, Cedric Tillman, Gabe Davis, and Boutte, and a tight end room of Sam Laporta, Brenton Strange, and Michael Mayer. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming. I appreciate if you could like and subscribe. And otherwise, I will see you all later. Take care, everyone.